Maurice Scott, known for his role in Love and Marriage Huntsville, has been in the headlines for the past several months, not for his personal achievements, but because of a whirlwind of rumors, legal battles, and shocking revelations. For months, fans and social media users speculated about his private life, his business dealings, and some questionable situations that had people raising eyebrows. But until recently, Maurice kept his silence. That is, until now. In a move that has left fans stunned, Maurice Scott has finally broken his silence and addressed all the rumors, the speculation, and the drama surrounding him. His words, however, have only added fuel to the fire, confirming many of the shocking things people have been whispering about. This wasn't just a simple, everything's fine, kind of statement. No, Maurice didn't just confirm some rumors, he practically admitted to more than we could have ever imagined. And the way he handled it has left the public even more curious. Let's dive into what he said, what's really going on behind the scenes, and why his attempt to control the narrative has backfired so dramatically. First, let's break down exactly what Maurice said. In a recent interview, Maurice spoke candidly about his actions, particularly in a moment where he felt the need to protect someone he cares about. In a statement that raised more questions than answers, he explained that he was simply trying to protect a situation, a brother, from further harm. Now, people have been wondering what this situation was, who exactly he was protecting, and why he felt it necessary to speak out now. His words did little to clarify things, and, instead, opened the door to even more rumors and speculation. Maurice's attempt to clear the air only ended up making things murkier, but here's where things get even more interesting. Maurice isn't trying to clear his name the way we would expect someone to do when faced with public scrutiny. Instead, he's doubling down on the most shocking claims people have been whispering about. Rather than denying anything, he is embracing the very things that people have been accusing him of, revealing even more inconsistencies along the way. So, why is Maurice speaking out now? What exactly is going on with all these bombshell revelations? To understand Maurice's downfall, we need to rewind to when it all began. It didn't just start with rumors swirling about his personal life. It all began when Maurice decided to take legal action against a social media commentator, Black Titanic, who had been digging into Maurice's business dealings and the behind-the-scenes drama of Love and Marriage Huntsville. For months, Black Titanic had been publishing videos and articles that exposed some not-so-pretty truths about Maurice's life, things that people had been questioning for a long time. Instead of ignoring the commentary or letting it go, Maurice, along with the OWN network, decided to take a different route. They filed a lawsuit against Black Titanic, accusing her of spreading false information and damaging their reputations. Maurice and OWN thought they could easily shut Black Titanic down with this legal action, but they made a huge miscalculation. The lawsuit backfired in a big way. Legal action was supposed to silence her, but what actually happened was that it gave Black Titanic a bigger platform to expose even more dirt. The court case became a fiasco. Maurice's legal team entered the courtroom thinking they had a solid case, but what happened next was nothing short of embarrassing. The courtroom drama unfolded quickly, and it was clear that Maurice's case was weak from the start. The first hurdle they ran into was proving defamation. To win the case, they had to show that Black Titanic knowingly spread false information with the intent to harm Maurice's reputation. But there was a major problem. Most of the information Black Titanic shared wasn't even new. Much of it was already in the public domain, public records, past business dealings, and things that had already been hinted at on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Maurice and OWN couldn't prove that any of it was false, and when the judge asked them to present evidence of financial loss, they came up empty-handed. There was no concrete proof of any damage. Maurice's case quickly fell apart, but instead of backing down, his team tried to switch gears, claiming that Black Titanic was intentionally trying to ruin his reputation, but the judge wasn't buying it. In fact, the case was dismissed, and not only did Maurice lose, but the entire lawsuit backfired in ways that they probably never saw coming. Rather than shutting Black Titanic up, Maurice and OWN gave her a much bigger platform. People who weren't even following the drama before suddenly became intrigued, and Black Titanic's followers grew significantly. This wasn't just a legal loss, it was a public relations disaster. Instead of allowing the drama to die down, Maurice made another critical mistake. Instead of letting things cool off, he decided to speak out. And when he opened his mouth, he didn't just address the accusations, he practically confirmed everything people had been speculating about. He tried to defend his business dealings, but ended up exposing even more contradictions in his own story. He also attempted to downplay his role in some behind-the-scenes drama related to the OWN network, but insiders quickly shut that down. Every time Maurice tried to deny something, more proof surfaced that he was lying. This move, rather than calming the situation, only made things worse for Maurice. He thought he could control the narrative, but he only handed Black Titanic more material to work with. His statements and contradictions opened the door for more people to dig into his past, and as we all know, once the internet gets suspicious, they don't stop digging. The more Maurice tried to defend himself, the more his credibility fell apart. The narrative shifted from questioning Black Titanic's information to questioning why Maurice was so desperate to hide the truth. Then things took another turn for the worse. Maurice found himself facing legal trouble, not just from the lawsuit but from a separate incident that involved driving under the influence. Reports surfaced that Maurice had been arrested for a DUI, and this just added to his already tarnished reputation. Now, not only did he have to deal with the fallout from his failed lawsuit, but his personal life was under a microscope as well. This was no longer just about his business dealings or his relationship with the show, it was about his credibility as a public figure, and people weren't buying his explanations. At this point, Maurice's reputation was in serious jeopardy. Word on the street was that the OWN network wasn't pleased with how Maurice had handled everything. OWN had its own image to protect, and Maurice's public drama was reflecting badly on them. The network didn't need this kind of bad press, especially not after dealing with other controversies surrounding the show. Executives were reportedly unhappy with how Maurice had handled the lawsuit, and there were whispers that his time on the show could be in trouble. The thing is, OWN doesn't rely on Maurice as much as he might think. They've got other cast members who bring in the ratings, and if Maurice's drama continued to be a liability, they wouldn't hesitate to scale back his involvement. At this point, the internet is ruthless, and Maurice is feeling the heat. Fans are mocking him online, and his reputation continues to deteriorate. The more he tries to explain himself, the worse things get. His contradictions are being called out left and right, and the public isn't letting him off the hook. Maurice probably thought that by filing the lawsuit, he could silence Black Titanic, but all it did was elevate her status. She went from being a social media commentator to a major figure in the conversation. Black Titanic didn't just win in court, she gained credibility, a bigger audience, and more power in this ongoing saga. Maurice may have thought he was controlling the situation, but in reality, he handed Black Titanic the ultimate validation. Now, it's not just about what Maurice did or didn't do. It's about why he did it and why he couldn't just let things go. The more Maurice tried to shut down the conversation, the more people started to question his motives. Was he trying to protect his reputation? Or was he just trying to cover up the truth? At the end of the day, Maurice Scott might have thought he could control the narrative, but in reality, he's only confirmed everything people were already whispering about. His attempt to silence Black Titanic has only made her more powerful, and now his career, his reputation, and even his future on Love and Marriage Huntsville could be in serious jeopardy. What Maurice thought would be a simple lawsuit has turned into a PR disaster, and it's unlikely that the public will forget the missteps anytime soon. Maurice made a series of mistakes, and each one has compounded the damage to his image. He tried to hide the truth, but the more he did, the more people dug. In trying to control the narrative, Maurice ended up giving away control entirely. So, what does the future hold for Maurice Scott? Is he going to be held accountable for his actions, or is there more to this story that we haven't uncovered yet? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the drama surrounding Maurice Scott is far from over.